Okay, so our last set of presentations is a double act, and we're going to have a case study from Western Sydney. So I'd like to invite Kellyanne G from Western Sydney Regional Organisation of Councils, the WESROC, and Christine Newman from Western Sydney Local Health District. So Kelly's the Media and Communications Officer, and Christine's the Deputy Director of the Western Sydney Local Health District Centre for Population Health, and they're going to talk about their partnership on working together on health and local government issues. So please, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before we begin, we would like to show our respect to and acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and elders past and present. So my name is Kelly G, and I work for WESROC, or the Western Sydney Regional Organisation of Councils. And Christine here is, as pointed out, the Deputy Director of Population Health at Western Sydney Local Health District. So today we're going to take you through a joint initiative. A joint initiative between WESROC, the 3 local health districts that cover the Greater Western Sydney region, and also the Premier's Council for Active Living, who were instrumental. So it was an initiative to get Western Sydney walking and to build healthier communities through effective urban planning and improve health outcomes for our region. Lifestyle-related illness such as diabetes and heart disease are a real regional issue in Western Sydney. This is partially because many of the factors that influence on an individual's health lay well outside the traditional health sector. So things such as readily available, attractive green spaces that really inspire people to get out, get active and get walking isn't really under the control of health, but it was something that local governments can obviously assist with. So this is really a case study about local government and health working together. So firstly, our walking journey. We're going to take you through who we are, our call to action, how we got walking on the local government agenda, getting commitment from our councils, in this case for the Walk 21 Charter, moving on to action and our starting block, because our walking journey is really only just beginning, and this is more about getting on the agenda and how we really engage local government. So I'll just take you quickly through the WESROC region and Western Sydney more generally. So those of you who aren't familiar with WESROC, we're a membership organisation that includes 10 of the 14 Greater Western Sydney councils. Our primary role is advocacy on behalf of Western Sydney, but we also run joint initiatives and programs and projects on behalf of our member councils. As you can see here, we cover a really vast region, 5,500 square kilometres, from Auburn and Parramatta in the far east to the Blue Mountains in the far west, up to the Hawkesbury and down to Liverpool and Bankstown in the south. So this is a really vast region, but it does actually have a very distinctive demographic identity and health identity. So we're one of the fastest growing regions in Australia. We expect to have 1 million extra residents over the next 25 years. We're also an extremely young region relative to Sydney and New South Wales, so around half of the population is under the age of 35. We're also very culturally and linguistically diverse. 40% of residents were born overseas, and well over 140 nationalities are represented amongst the residents. And this is, in some areas such as Fairfield, Auburn and Liverpool, the diversity is a lot higher than in others. In terms of diversity, we also have a very significant Indigenous population of around 25,000 residents. Finally, Western Sydney is home to 4 out of 5 of Sydney's most socio-economically disadvantaged local government areas, and all these factors combined with the fact that there's very low public transport access, very high car dependence, and a lot of people in the region have to commute a long way to work, to school, to study on a daily basis, contributes to a very distinctive health profile, which Christine, as the health person, will take you through now.
So we're just showing that this is in partnership, this initiative. Just a little context to why we chose this particular initiative, and I think if other people have said, there's a growing rate of diabetes in Western Sydney. We've got a high overweight and obesity rates, in fact nearly 60% in some areas. We've got concerns for very high psychological distress in some of our areas, and we've got significant level of hospital admissions for coronary heart disease. So in fact, in nearly half, our concern too is nearly half of our population don't meet the recommended daily amount of physical activity levels. So you can see it's quite a concern for Western Sydney. We thought that walking can contribute to the reduction of all of these concerns, and it's something that nearly all of our community can participate in. So thinking about this, we sent a small team to the Sydney Walk 21 conference for inspiration, and then the Fit New South Wales 2015 forum, so we're giving a plug to this, where an update on the Walk 21 Charter signing was provided. Until then, we only had one signatory to the Walk 21 Charter, and that was Penrith Council, which is one of the outer ones that we showed on the map just previously. The Walk 21 Charter was in fact seen as something that would be tangible, something that could meet both our health and our local government councils' agendas. So one thing's thinking it's a good idea, the other thing is getting others to think it's a good idea. So although we work with individual councils and on initiatives, we believe the Charter was a tool for elevating walking to the regional level, which in turn would support increased effort and work at the council officer level. So we wanted support from both ends, from the top level and from people on the ground, who we work with every day. So we had a discussion with Wesrock and an elected board member promoting interest, and they were instrumental in getting it on the board agenda and garnering support for the initiative. The Premier's Council for Active Living agreed to present the case with myself at the Wesrock board meeting. We believe that PCAL was really added credibility to what we had to say. On the night, we had an enthusiastic, lively response, and I think a little bit of healthy competitions between the councils, and I think that that's can create something active that we can engage in. It achieved that the Wesrock board gave endorsement, and therefore were giving updates at their subsequent board meetings. So that was keeping it on the agenda for us. The councils weren't just within our local health district, which was Western Sydney. There were others that sat outside our boundaries, and they showed a lot of interest as well. So we invited two of the other LHDs, which is Nepean Blue Mountains and the South Western Sydney LHDs, to join us, and this formed the Walk 21 working group for Western Sydney, along with Wesrock, and this was to progress the initiative. So, of course, now we've got agreement. One thing's getting agreement. You now have to get commitment. So we had to move to our next phase of getting each of those councils to commit. And a wise mayor advised us to not let them get away. So what he suggested is that we actually followed up individually. So we would meet with each council. So we sent a follow-up letter to each mayor, and we scheduled individual meetings with each of those councils, mayor and the general manager. We thought it was both important to have both of them, and that was to ensure that we were both getting political and organisational support. At these meetings, we acknowledge the work that councils are doing. Of course, they're not doing nothing. There's lots of work already happening, and that we wouldn't be starting from a zero base point. But we wanted to present alongside their work what it might mean for councils to sign the Charter. So this resulted in 8 agreeing to put the Charter through internal processes for approval, and they committed staff to attend the initial information and discussion forum, which was the part of starting to develop our plan.
It was great to have commitment from the councils, but we really didn't want the momentum to stop with our councils and our mayors getting really excited. We wanted that to translate to action on the ground. So in October last year, the Walk 21 working group ran the Planning and Active Western Sydney Forum, which was primarily a professional development forum for our council officers to give them some case studies, some tools, and run through a bit of background on how they could use the Charter in their everyday work environment to improve health outcomes for the region. So I think the key to this was we had 14 councils attend, so not just the ones who had committed, but also from Greater Western Sydney. And we engaged council officers from across a range of backgrounds, including urban planning, community development officers, traffic and transport officers, parks and recreation officers, and pretty much everyone who has a role to play in creating livable, walkable communities at the local level. So we started off the day with some great case studies to get everyone inspired about what they could achieve in their local area, and we also had some great programs that were working really well within Western Sydney just to showcase those to the other councils attending. This was followed by roundtable discussions where council officers got to speak with the health district and each other to talk about what's been working really well, what are some of the challenges that need to be overcome, and also how health and local government can work more closely in future to achieve better outcomes for the community. So in the second half of the day, we had a panel discussion and formal signing of the Walk 21 Charter by our Western Sydney mayors that you can see up there. So this was really important in terms of not only cementing lifestyle-related illness as a key regional issue affecting the whole of Western Sydney, but also showing that multi-level support from the council officer level right up to the GM and mayor's councillor level, as well as from the health industry, the government agencies that attended. So we had representatives from the Department of Planning, New South Wales Health, Walk 21 itself, and also the Premier's Council for Active Living. And finally, the Walk 21 Charter, having everyone there signing it as a group was really important to reinforce that this charter could be used as a tangible way for councils to contribute to the better health of their communities. So urban planning obviously isn't the be-all and end-all of health. There are a lot of other factors that contribute, but it's a real way that something that councils can really take ownership of themselves. So following this event, it hasn't stopped here. That was in October last year. Our health districts have been speaking with councils one-on-one to implement some actions and think about how the success of this will be measured.
Okay, so just to, now to wrap up, we're just at our starting block really, and we just wanted to point out where we are at now. Councils are interested in concrete measurable data to see if we are making a difference. So we're just currently exploring our baseline through transport and health surveillance systems and mapping the current initiatives that we can build on. And I think you can all appreciate when it comes to data, it becomes very, it's very tricky and it is not an easy process to go through. So we've just recently a published study on walking by Metal in the 2015 Journal of Transport and Health has shown that the Wesrock region has low levels of regular walking and it's below the state average. So we're in discussion with the authors of that paper and they're helping us to set some measurable bits that we can have for councils, and there's also PCAL's website offers some lower level performance measures that we know that we'll be also able to use to help measure what we're doing. So we're all in the process now, the 3 LHDs, in establishing our individual councils' Walk 21 working groups, and we're also going to have another forum in the future where we'll hopefully bring the councils back to have a look at how they've progressed and be able to share their journeys. And by next year, hopefully at FIT 2017, we might be able to update you on where we are in our implementation. So thank you.